checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check. I got the message on me, ain't no flexing on me, my attorney gon' call and collect. Blessings on blessings for me, my successes only made them envious, they got upset. I had to put all their egos in check. I want the money, the power, respect, and I heard you know so-and-so, you not a threat, cause I really know so-and-so, they like my family, so they go pretend that they cool till they bust at your motherfucking chest. I'm getting gutter, my flow been like butter, my check in the bank, they see the number. All of my haters feel one of two ways, really upset or they show some respect. I can't even think about it, I've been up, so read about it, no beat around it, straight to it, no ring around it. You coming for me, we'll see about it, we'll never see it when I get my feet up. 100 meters where I run the field, and go from chinging on a monopia. I had to re-up on a reel, so you stay defeated, and put it back into the bit, cause I don't really need it. I heard they checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check. I got the message on me, ain't no flexing on me, my attorney gon' call and collect. Blessings on blessings for me, my successes only made them envious, they got upset. I had to put all their egos in check. I had to put all their egos in check. You're not entitled to anything else. I get 10 years of this under my belt. Your art isn't art, they don't feel it, and nobody hears it. Initiative stay on the shelf. Your ego done got in the way. It gotta die today. It gotta go. You should be happy I lighten the load. The weight of your arrogance, heavy as stone. I make an appearance, they already know. That chip on your shoulder gon' crumble and fold. Yeah, it's not a secret that you have been fearing the shit that I'm on. So you back to the brag and the boast. But I'm in a class of my own. I heard they checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check.
Woo! It is another beautiful Wednesday night, and we're back. We're streaming. We're live. I got to do better with the consistency. I'm not going to lie. Being consistent with live streams is incredibly difficult. We will talk about why there has been such an erratic spread of videos, even with live streams. I'm hoping that's going to level out very soon. But we've got a lot to discuss tonight. We've also got some Autel news, which is actually the primary premise for tonight's stream, which I'm actually really stoked to talk about them. They haven't really had anything in probably what it feels like a year and a half since the 14 Max. Autel has been relatively quiet here in the U.S. market, but we're going to be talking about them. We're also going to be talking about the National Defense Authorization Act. We have some updates. Not very exciting updates, but I think they are important nonetheless, so we will discuss those as well. But as always, let's jump into the chat here and greet everybody that is here. So we'll start from the top. We got Jody Drone Shots. We got Barkley 107 Drones, Line Denard. The Drone Dad, what's good? Thank you so much for that $5 super chat. Very much appreciate it. Remember, as always, we never, ever, ever have a super chat train here. We don't even have super chat gangbangs here or super chat bukakis. This is a super chat beg-free zone. I want to reiterate that. It's never necessary to do that. This stream is funded by my sponsor, and tonight's video sponsor is Corona Extra. Corona Extra, the fantastic beer brewed and canned in Mexico. This is 12 fluid ounces. Corona would like me to remind you to drink responsibly when consuming. That's great. That is good, solid Mexican beer. All right, let's continue on down the list. We have Matt Bagwell, Atlantic Aerials, East Coast Thrills. We've got Christian D, Maddie's RC World, Bob Casey, good to see you as always. We got Green Mountain Droning. Let's see. B-Man FPV. B-Man FPV has been a member of the Brew Crew for over 48 months. That is 4 years. Thanks for doing the math there because I can't clearly math. And then, of course, I thank Drone Dad for his super chat. Much appreciated. Elevated Visions. Good to see you, my friend. Let's see. Bob Casey, 20 months. 20 months in the Brew Crew. That's an achievement. We got Tech Drone, Chad Hammond. The Dudleys. What's good? Russell Glenrum, good to see you. Aerial Pixels here. Intel Maxwell, Multi-Rotors, Louis Vega, and Air Rider. So good to see all of you and some. All right, let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about the new Autel Evo Lite Enterprise Series. Let me switch over to the desktop scene here. So this is what I would say a bit of a shocker here. So here we have the Evo Lite, which has been out. I want to say Evo Lite's been out CES, that came out when CES COVID, right? Was it COVID? Maybe it was the CES when it first came back, but I feel like it was 2022. CES 2022. Maybe it was CES 2022. I clearly remember taking sticks for the Evo Lite series at CES 2022 or 2021. I think it was 2022. I don't think we had one in 2021. But either or way, this has been out for 2 years now, and now Autel is doing something that I think they needed to do, which was create an enterprise solution that is small, portable, lightweight, and I think that's what we have here with the Evo Lite series. So what do we have here? So we have a thermal version, and then of course we have that standard 6K version, which I think is pretty fantastic. It also brings all of the enterprise features from the Evo Max 4T. That's the significance here, because even though you're getting a 6K variant of this, you also get all of those AI features and all of those enterprise application features that they added into the 4Ts, which I think is pretty fantastic. So it's 866 grams, making this pretty much the smallest, I would say. Well, I wouldn't say it's the lightest when you stack that up to Parrot and some of the other offerings, but it is one of the smallest thermal offerings at 866 grams, which I think is pretty fantastic. We also get a new enterprise app on that Smart Controller SE version 2. And I got a chance to play with some of the new updates for the Max 14, some of their white label versions. And I got to say, some of the stuff that is in the application is truly impressive, especially for law enforcement or other SAR counterparts, I would say. It has some really unique things as far as the bands that you can choose, and along with being able to toggle on and off remote ID, which I think is pretty interesting. No, this is not a mechanical shutter. No mechanical shutter on that 6K, by the way. That is not a mechanical shutter. Not the best I can see. Well, let's go into the technical specs before I shoot myself in the foot here. But I did not see a mechanical shutter when I was going through this before, which does suck. But just because it doesn't have an enterprise or a mechanical shutter does not make it any less different. So it's the 1-inch CMOS sensor. That's all the same. ISO range, same. Shutter speed is the same. I am looking to see if it states mechanical shutter. I do not see a mechanical shutter. It appears to be the same sensor that is on the Evo 6K Lite and the Evo 6K. So no mechanical shutter there. Could that be a huge miss? Maybe, maybe not. It really depends. I don't really see a lot of people using an Evo Lite for mapping. I think they would probably use an Evo, just the normal Evo 6K, or possibly even the Max, one of the Max variants. I don't see them doing that because there's just not enough battery life to make it really advantageous to use the Evo Lite 6K when it comes to mapping. Not only that, I think Autel's mapping capability is pretty limited. I know it's decent. It's definitely better than some of the rest, but it's still not up there in terms of like what DJI has currently. The Evo Lite 640T, that is impressive. 1/2-inch CMOS sensor. Has field of view of 83.4 degrees, 24 millimeter equivalent focal length, f2.8. Basically all the same. Let's take a look at what we have for the thermal imaging sensor. So it's an uncooled VOX microbolometer sensor, 61 degree field of view, 9.1 millimeters. Interesting. f1.0. Basically looks like everything that they've had before. I don't see, it is radiometric, so that's cool. 16 times digital zoom. I think that's pretty standard nowadays. I feel like 640 by 512 is the standard. I'm not really seeing anything that jumps out there. Video resolution, 640, 512, 30 frames per second. Pretty standard stuff here. The Autel Smart Controller SE V2, that's going to come with the new Autel Enterprise app, 24 gigs onboard storage, IP43 rating. It's good to start seeing them add IP ratings to these controllers. That's one of the things that's always drove me nuts in the past. Here's something interesting. So this one actually has all 4 options when it comes to satellites. You have GPS, Galileo, Beidou, and you have GLONASS. So like where DJI has dropped GLONASS, which is the Russian satellites, Autel has retained that. They have GLONASS, Beidou, Galileo, and they have GPS, which is pretty sweet that they have all the constellations that are pretty popular. So operating bands, we have 2.4, 5.8, 5.7. And if I'm not mistaken, there is a 915 option as well, but I believe it is locked down to certain environments. But I seen on one of them that was 915, which means you would have just crazy range with that. Also supports Bluetooth, dual antennas, so pretty impressive stuff. The resolution of the screen is not very good at 1440 by 720, 60 hertz refresh, but I mean, honestly, not terrible. And the battery is still the same at 1900 milliamps, which my battery, it's not very impressive on the V2 RC. So that's something that you're just going to have to deal with. It is a replaceable battery, so that's cool. But it doesn't have an internal battery, which means you can't hot swap it, which I think, again, is a big miss. When you're working in enterprise solutions, you want to be able to hot swap things. I think they should have added a hot swap option. But, I mean, I guess that's not terrible. Let's see. Do they have anything? They don't have anything on pricing. It's probably going to be one of those things where you got to go and you need to contact a dealer. I'm not seeing. Let me see. Can you even get a price on this? That's the Evo Lite series. I don't even see it listed here. So I'll have to check to see what the pricing will end up being. And when I do get that, I will go ahead and post it on the community tab. So interesting stuff, though. Not the worst thing. It's good to see they're actually making drones still. Like I thought they were pretty much dead in the water. Let me jump in the chat here and see what we got here. I wasn't really paying attention as I was reading that. Let's see. Got just joined, but Autel's trying to get the cheapest thermal option, huh? Yeah, it would seem that way, Kyle. It definitely seems that they're pursuing the cheapest options available. I mean, spec-wise, it doesn't really compare to what the Mavic 3T is or really any DJI offering, but it seems like they're trying to create an entry-level enterprise drone, which is sort of interesting to see. I mean, I welcome any options available, really, but it is interesting to see an enterprise option. It's really going to boil down to the price, because as we see, the Evo Lite by itself, the non-enterprise versions are $689. So it's going to be interesting to see what type of premium is added by adding in the smart controller V2 and then also adding in that thermal sensor as well. Now, keep in mind that this enterprise does not offer any add-on accessories, like the ad hoc accessories like a speaker, a light, or I can't even think right now. Speaker, light, what was the other? RTK. There's no RTK module for this as well. It doesn't look like it anyways. I didn't see any option there. So those are things to be mindful of as well when you're looking at this versus the standard enterprise versions that they offer. Great to have as many satellites triangulating as possible. Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing. I'm glad that they added GLONASS. I always felt like that was the better option. I mean, when Beidou first started really making its way into the Mavic, I mean, I remember the Mavic 3, when that first came out, it was like hell to lock satellites. They finally did fix it. They finally fixed the issue with some firmware updates. But I remember when that first happened, I mean, it was bad. It was really, really bad. It was cumbersome. It would take me sometimes 10 minutes for satellites to lock, and it was very sketchy flying in cities. But now, obviously, that's so much better now, but still, I digress. Crazy Rabbit, greetings from Virginia. Good to see you, man. Nice to see you, as always. Lon says he's amazed to see that they're still using the same smart controller after 2 years. Yeah, I think they finally got the situation hammered out with the chipset. I don't know if you remember, there was an issue with the chips, and then they made a change. I think it was using Huawei chips or something to that effect. There was a chip that was banned. They made a change. They made like 3 or 4 different revisions to the smart controllers, and I think that pissed a lot of people off because when they were sending things in for repair, they were discontinuing products. There was a lot of fragmentations within a product that was still current. So it was fragmentation within a product that was still current. And I think that just left a really sour taste in a lot of people's mouth. But it's good to see that they are making steps in the right direction. Kyle, yes, I will be at ComUAV. I definitely plan on being there this year. I'm going to definitely do a lot more filming and try to, get my hands wet with different companies that are going to be there. So I'm excited to go to ComUAV is the only commercial show that I'm going to. I refuse to go to AVUSI anymore after the whole shit show and their political stances, where I believe that a lot of these conventions and groups, they really just sort of need to sometimes remain neutral for the good of an industry. And AVUSI, I refuse to go to any of their shows anymore. I boycotted that. Let's see. What was Drone Dad thinking of the NDA stuff? I know that DJI would be fine in its market outside of the US should it pass, but I'm not a huge Autel person. I'm curious if you know how much market share hit would Autel take. Well, if you look at the global drone industry as a whole, from consumers to the enterprise solutions, I think it would be safe to say, I think this is a pretty fair estimate, that DJI owns probably 75% of the global market share when it comes to drones. Now, it could be higher, could be slightly lower, but I don't think it would be much lower. So I think a fair guesstimate would be 75%. Now, with that being said, Autel probably makes up 10 to maybe 15% of the rest. And then you have some other off-brand drones for enterprise, etc. But I think Autel has such a small, minute block of that, although still necessary in certain countries. I don't think they would be able to survive quite as handedly, even though their corporate office, now their main corporate office is located in Bothell, Washington, or at least that's where it was the last time I checked. But because of their marketing, and they touted themselves so many people were confused with Autel when they first really started getting into drones, believing that it was an American-based company. And then another thing people didn't realize was that Autel had such heavy ties to the automotive side, because it is the same company, just a different division. I don't think people really put two and two together. But I think Autel Robotics wouldn't be able to produce the same amount of revenue. And in turn, they would have to likely look at elsewhere, like parts of Europe and obviously their home base, China, to market or sell their products. But I think either way, they would be fine, because I feel like the robotics division is their loss leader. It's something that they're playing with, but they don't. It feels still to me, it really does feel more like a hobby, Autel Robotics, than it does a full-blown company. It just feels like a hobby. It doesn't feel as polished as a run company. And this is even going back 5 years ago, when I toured their corporate office in Bothell. There was 3 or 4 people there. I remember this is when Tim and Andrew were still there. And now those guys are long gone for over 3 years now. And it just felt like a ghost town going through there. And that was 3 years ago. So I don't think they're going to be able to do as well. Will Autel be included in the NDA being brought? Yes, Autel is included in the defense authorization bill. And actually, there is an update with that as well. So remember the last time we spoke, we talked about how the NDAA did not pass the Senate. The Senate refuted the contents of that bill. So when that happens and something changes in the bill, it has to then go back to Congress. So it went back to Congress, where the original sponsors did not seemingly bring up I want to say they did not decide to amend what they already had. Instead, 2 new sponsors, Rick Scott, who was the former governor of Florida, and one other person, added in some new remarks to the NDAA. And it actually, in this time, it includes Anzu Robotics, and it includes Cogito, which is the makers of Specta. So this time, I feel that the bill that they are proposing is more detrimental, because now they are claiming that it's any affiliation to DJI. That means any partnerships that other companies would have with DJI, whether it be through licensing agreements or others, are being sandwiched into this new proposed bill, which If that happens, then you're back to square one and not having any options. But as of right now, it doesn't look like it's been proposed to Senate, or it hasn't passed Senate yet. You'll have to wait. My recommendation is to follow along with Drone Service Providers Alliance. Vic has been putting out some pretty good and extensive articles on that. And after the show, I'll go through the description and put a bunch of resources in there. But you still need to be reaching out to your senators. You still need to be voicing your opinions. During this time, this sort of gap time, we still have to be voicing our opinions to them. So hopefully the next people that look at whatever the next revision of this is says, hey, you know what? There is a lot of opposition to us passing this. Maybe we have to look at this a little closer, put this under a microscope, and think when this should be a good idea to do, because we still don't have very great options here in the U.S. So you got to keep reaching out to your senators. Otherwise, this could essentially get passed if you start backing off a little bit. Okay, so, all right. Michael Fenning says, interested in getting my Part 107, but I'm just finding about this potential ban. Do I even bother pursuing this certification now? That's a great question. And whether a brand gets banned or not, you'll still need your 107 license if you plan on making money with your drone. No matter what drone you have, it doesn't matter. And whether it's banned now or later, guess what? The drones that we have in our hand will still work well after the ban. Just because they ban a product doesn't mean it's going to stop working. The drones we have will still function, which means as long as you have it, as long as they don't revoke those FCC licensing, which I do not believe they will, we will still be able to use those, and you'll still be able to buy replacement parts. You'll still be able to do everything you normally will, and you'll still need your license to be able to perform 107 tasks, such as making money commercially. So it is still a good idea to do it. I mean, will you make millions of dollars and be able to do it full time right out of the gate? Probably not. But if you don't have it, you don't have that option for a company or even to go out on your own to make money. So you still need to have that license. Don't let the ban dictate whether or not you get that license. It's a super easy test to pass and to take. And there's plenty of study guides out there. Of course, you can also check in the link in the description for Pilot Institute. Obviously, I'm a big proponent of them. I work with them pretty closely, but they can get you prepped, ready to take the test with the money back guarantee. Let's see. Drone Dad says, I agree with Autel being a hobby feel. They feel like we can do this, but figuring out how to have a practical application, that's me seeing yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. They make something because they see somebody else do it, but then that final product is never super refined. And that's just why I never fly. Like I've tried, I started out, I cut my teeth on a lot of Autel products, and I was so pro Autel when they first came out. Like I gotta say, I mean, I was pretty much like, I was all Autel for so many years, and I ended up just abandoning ship because they just couldn't get it together. Then their timelines, just like, so we talk about the Autel Lite Enterprise series. Autel has long had a standing record of not being able to meet their deadlines. So we don't know when this is going to release. I would imagine it may be by commercial UAV, which is September 3rd through 5th, but I won't hold my breath that these will make it into people's hands by then. It would be a complete shocker if it did, but we'll see. That guy Fly, what's up, man? Brother Ken, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Yeah, just make a decision and then do what you got to do. Brad Henderson's, Ken, you're tracking an AI futuristic real estate Insta Reels are straight fire. Dude, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I've been trying. I like the cyberpunk style reels. I love making like these AI virtual assistant reels. I got to say, Josh Yao is a huge inspiration of mine, and I've always liked his sort of like take on virtual assistants. And it's an easy way to create a cool story for real estate agents. So, but yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing some tutorials on that. We're going to be doing a whole editing class. I've been trying to figure out what I'm going to film. I swear to you, I've sat down, I filmed like 2 or 3 videos, and I get through filming the video and I just hit delete because I'm like, it's not the best I can do. And if something's not the best I can do, I don't want to release it. And I think that that's been my biggest problem over the past, I want to say 2 months, is that if I don't like something, I just click the delete button. And that's a huge, huge problem as to why the content has really dwindled a little bit. Not to mention, I've been so slammed with real estate. As it starts slowing down, or if it slows down, I don't know if it will, we'll likely have more content on the horizon. There will definitely be more content on the horizon by the end of this month. I promise that. But hopefully something will happen. Until Max, hey, Canna, what are your thoughts on this new Neo? Honestly, I don't know. I haven't really been reading or following much of the leaks, so I really can't speak to it. Does it interest me? I mean, it's a DJI product. I'll probably buy it, but I don't know. There's just not enough solid information out there on it to really make an assessment one way or the other on what it is. It does look interesting. It's a weird move on their part, but we'll have to wait and see. Where did I learn the tracking from? I struggle. Which tracking are you talking about? The masking tracking? If that's what you're talking about, that's Cine Studio. If you're talking about the tracking, I use Cine Studio Motion VFX for a lot of what I do. It works amazing. Everybody was super skeptical when Motion VFX first launched Cine Studio and that whole suite of really unique features. And I thought at the time that it was super expensive. But I will say this, Cine Studio and Motion VFX has paid for itself 10 times over. Like really, it really has paid for itself 10 times over. So it's crazy. Stop hitting delete. It's hard, man. Like I filmed the video yesterday and I used the Osmo Pocket and I was just like, I don't know. You know what it is when you don't film videos for a while, you don't sit down in front of the camera, you just get complacent, right? You get complacent. Like I used to be able to sit down, no scripting, nothing, just shoot from the hip, and I'd have an awesome, what I would feel was a very articulated video. But in the past like 2 months, I haven't been able to do that. And I think it's because I'm so engrossed in the editing side of real estate and I'm behind the camera so much, but filming, and I'm not the one in front of the camera so much. I feel like I've regressed a little bit in my ability to just sit down and press record. And I probably need to I'm probably in my own head tremendously right now. There's like a ton of things that are going on that are definitely in my head. But that's probably part of the problem why content has definitely tapered off. But I think every channel goes through that at some point. You go through growing curves where you're just like, I don't feel like filming. And you know, it's okay because for 4 years straight, I put out 3 videos minimum every single week, plus doing a live stream. That's a shit ton of videos. That's over 1,200 videos in 4 years. That's over 1,200 videos in 4 years. That's a lot of content created. I would love to know how many gigs I've uploaded to YouTube, but that's a lot of content created. And I think that ultimately wears a lot on me. I've been slowly learning M-Tracker 3D area on Motion VFX and on FCP. I do use it for real estate. The M-Tracker 3D is amazing. It is really amazing. It works incredibly well. You have to sometimes add some null values, but also the higher the resolution you can shoot in when it comes to M-Tracker, here's the best thing. Sometimes if I know I'm doing something really big or whatever, I film with the Mavic 3 and I film it in 5K. Because what I've found is the higher the resolution that you use, the easier it is for you to do your tracking points with M-Tracker 3D. It's almost so accurate because it has so much pixel density to pick up on those tracking points. So if you struggle with it, try filming in a higher resolution. I wish the Air 3 filmed in a higher resolution. I really do. I use it so much. Lon says it's almost as useful as that penis pump you got. I haven't used a penis pump in months, man. In months. Look when it got you. Bust it. You passed 100K subs. Yeah, I think it was just before that it started like that started hitting. I think it was after the Avada 2 release that I started losing steam. I think it's just you get tired, you realize you have client work you have to do, and then you just don't want to film. And then the reality is YouTube just doesn't pay like client work. Like client work, it's instant gratification. I know that in the morning when I send all the work out to the clients, there is a probable chance that those clients are going to pay their bills. And when they pay their bills, that's instant money. With YouTube, it's like trickling down. You got to rely on AdSense, and then you got to rely on people sticking on that video long enough for it to watch. And that's the revenue source. Unless you're absolutely shilling shit that you don't believe in, if you're just shilling stuff that you don't believe in or taking money from brands to create videos, that is the only way you'll make money on YouTube. And some people quite literally will sell their souls to just keep creating content by shilling shitty video after shitty video. And I just can't find myself. I rather go broke than find myself doing that. That's the honest truth. I'd rather go broke than end up doing that. That's just how it is sometimes. So, or they do super chat gangbangs. What is that? Beatles? 80-20 rule on revenue streams. Yeah, exactly. I mean, my other streams of revenue, 3D printing, that definitely has helped. The 3D printing has definitely been probably one of the best sources of income thus far. It's been the best, and it's also one of the most rewarding, I would say. But I feel like that's a little different because here's the thing: when it comes to 3D printing, you're buying a product that I am giving you a product in return for your business. So I feel like that's an okay thing. I don't feel bad about that. The Drone Dad says, Super Chat gangbang. Is there some drama there I didn't know about? Not really. I mean, there hasn't been. I don't talk to Heron at all, or at all, really. I don't. And some days I even forget that he exists in the same sphere. So. Burnout. I felt that just for my minimal work on YouTube sometimes, but finding time after working, actual day job, got to take care. That's the thing. You got to realize too, a lot, you got family time. You get pressure from your family to be there when you're not there. And I've had years and years and years of not being there. And then putting 110% into multiple businesses just drains it's soul draining, man. It really is soul draining. And I began the expansion and scaling process a little bit too late. I should have started seeing the writing on the walls where I needed to start scaling a little bit more immediately. And I failed to do so. So now I'm paying the price by scaling now when I should have scaled way earlier. Exactly. Family first. I just bought an X1C and printing nonstop to solve the same problems same day for pennies. Yeah, dude, the X1C is an amazing 3D printer. I'm really shocked that Bamboo has not come out with a bigger 3D printer. That is shocking. I thought they were going to come out with a bigger printer, but I feel like Bamboo when it came down to the A1, I think the A1 debacle was such a big ordeal. They needed the dust to settle for that before they release a new printer. I really wanted a bigger build plate. I want TPU that is effortless when it comes to multicolor. And so far, the AMSs suck. Even modifying the AMS, it's okay, but I still have to contend with jams and things like that. So I really wish that they would come out with an AMS that can handle TPU and then be able to have a bigger build volume. I think would be amazing. If they do those things, that they would just be so sick. But I don't know if they're going to come out with something like that in the near future. I really do think the A1 situation really sort of handicapped them just a little bit. Just a little. I could be wrong, but I think that was a pretty big debacle. Alrighty. So I think that's about it. Let's see. It's 9:34. I don't want to keep these streams too crazy long. So I think we'll just go ahead and end it here now. So we've covered Autel Robotics. If you're just joining the stream, we covered Autel Robotics. We talked about the new Evo Lite drones. Right now, we don't have any pricing set. I will try to track down a pricing sheet. I do have access to dealer pricing. So we'll figure out what that's going to be when they do decide to release it. My thought is it'll probably be available more towards commercial UAV. And then if there's anything else that comes up with the NDAA, I'll be sure to also communicate that. But otherwise, keep contacting your senators. Keep reaching out to the Drone Service Providers Alliance for more assistance and keeping tuned to their channels for their articles, because there's some really great articles that are going to be coming out from Vic. And of course, I'll have links in the description for everything we discussed tonight as soon as the show ends. But otherwise, that's it, man. That's it to all of you. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show. I know it's a little shorter, a little smaller than normal, but sometimes that is okay. I will see you in the next video. And as always, stay original.
Maybe I'll just get out my head and focus on what I know's coming. Yeah. 'Cause I can't fall asleep at night without seeing my dreams. Delusion and reality, I'm somewhere in between. These voices in my head get loud and they keep telling me that I'm a fool for trusting in these wings. But maybe, baby, this what flying feels like. 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 Yeah. Maybe all my exes just drinking themselves crazy tonight. Maybe I should call and say, told you I'd be right. Wondering how long it was before you realized the biggest mistake of your life, and now you're paying the price. Oh, is it confidence or confusion? Either way, I feel like I ain't never losing. Your opinion on how you know just what I'm choosing. I gotta do this, 'cause I can't fall asleep at night without seeing my dreams. Delusion and reality, I'm somewhere in between.